Yanetrita Seta Sen Nukheka Nubraku Nupara Nukheka Nukheka Discover Natarian philosophy through music, through video lectures, and through books by Sabai Dr. Muata Ashby. Peace be with you.
And tell us a little bit about your first day in, the first temple.
Oh, to say amazing is not enough. To say I was humbled is not even enough. I don't really have the words to say. It's like you walk in and you say, okay, I have to rewire everything I ever thought about everything I ever thought about coming to Kemetic, because it's so much more than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. And you walk around all day with that feeling of being full and in joy, and this is amazing, everything is amazing, and saying amazing is not even enough.
So, we're here, you got here, and, you visited the first temple, and then we continued on this kind of program that Sebai Ma had outlined, mm-hmm. and this type of experience that he outlined in the process. It was virtually the kind of walking in the footsteps of king sages,
yes.
People who not only were royalty but actually transformed themselves into divine beings. How did you see that whole? How did you feel about that whole process? What was happening? Because he took us from one area one day, and then he gradually worked us
to every day doing something that
right.
I think the way that Dja outlined it and taught us and worked with us through it, just be sitting there listening to them, you absorb everything. So the way that he did it of, okay, we're going to look at this and we're going to talk about this all day for a few hours. We're going to go through, not just, this is a picture of one of the gods, this is a Sa, this is a Set, this is what they did, but literally, this is what they're wearing. Look at the detail. What do you think about this? And then to have a lecture on everything you just saw and answer questions about things and give you all the nuances about the temple, that was so much more than just walking through the temple and just trying to make them. You actually feel these things and these steps. So that was a great process.
What were your expectations in coming here? What did you?
None.
You didn't have any expectations. And why didn't you have any expectations?
Just knowing me and having had expectations in the past, I know that when you do that, you build yourself up and you're always disappointed because nothing can ever live up to your expectations. So I just learned a long time ago, don't expect anything. That way, any and everything that happens is a bonus. So that's just how I looked at it. I didn't know what to expect, so I let it ride.
And so, not having expectations now, we just went through a kind of program where Sebai literally walked us through step by step. Really, the daily. We took one step in, and then he said, "Don't go beyond this point." And next day we took another step, and then next day it seemed to get a little deeper until we kind of got into right into the inner sanctum. Tell us about your appreciation for that process and what that whole experience means to you now that You know, you probably are one of the few people on the planet that understands what goes on in the temple all the way through.
I mean, it just felt real, like a real initiation process. I mean, the way that it was all set up, you can actually envision yourself, you know, when he was like, you would just stay on the courtyard, or you go into, and the next day we went into the next section of the temple. It just felt real, like you were just actually reliving it in the ancient times. And I think if he had done it a different way, you would not have gotten that same feel for exactly what an initiate would have to go through. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that process. And then when you finally got to the last day, it was like, wow, like, yeah, you know what I mean? I was actually happy that he made us wait, basically. So it was just great. Very, very real process for me.
So what was the biggest moment for you, you know, along the whole trip? What was a moment for you that was just like, and probably there was a lot of wows, but that really was the thing that was like, you know, just beyond.
Just like the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's really hard to kind of narrow it down. I would probably say it was the last day, really. Kind of stepping into your own and realizing, you know, the divinity within. That I am the one. You know, so it was like, yeah.
Now, tell us about how you felt about the program itself. You know, the process that Sabai put us through day in, day out, step by step, going to various temples and then focusing ultimately on the Temple of Asar. What did that mean to you?
I am like astounded by Dr. Ashby. I love his work. So before I came, I kind of knew like his train of thought by reading so many of his books and, you know, kind of kept studying Edu and kind of learning the hieroglyphs a little bit. But I love the way that he put us through the actual process of what the ritual would have been back then. And when I was looking at other tour guides, where they were walking through, they were nowhere near that type of efficiency on putting us like actually through the process, in which I wouldn't expect anything less from Dr. Ashby. So that he actually put us through the process, and I was actually willing to do that. Like, I didn't even want to go past the demarcation line until the next day. Like, I didn't want to roam. I just wanted to completely feel what I needed to feel, and fulfill that part of learning the process, being able to say I actually went through that process and felt the energy of it. So I did. So it was great.
So how does this experience impact you, one personally, and then as a teacher yourself, as somebody that shares and espouses the philosophy?
Actually, that's a very good question, because I was thinking about that on this trip, and it's a great honor to be able to be involved in the teachings the way how I'm involved in the teachings, in a limited way, but people think it's great and wonderful and things like that. And you just walking through the halls, being here, looking at the outside of the temple, walking inside the temple, going into the different rooms and so forth. It's a great honor, really, and it is one that engenders humility and engenders a certain kind of appreciation for the past masters and the Neteru, the gods and goddesses that are allowing it to happen. So on this trip particularly, on this one, I felt sort of privileged in a way, not in a superficial privilege of being or feeling better than other people, the privilege of actually being allowed to enter into the teaching in the capacity of being able to disseminate and espouse the teaching. For some reason, this trip really brought that out.
Uja again, this is Asar Ankh Happy Aku, and I'm here with Basu, Shems, Akua, what's the other name? I forgot. Aku, Aku Ma'an.
It is Shems Toot.
Shems Toot. Aku.
Set
I know that. I really did. It's late at night where we're from and confusing. All right, so, and she is here with us in Kemet. She's actually been a very active and not just participant, but supporter and organizer of this whole experience. So, so we want to start by asking you what inspired you to be on this trip in the first place.
What inspired me? The teachings is what I aspire to live, so that in itself is the reason I'm here. So that's it. The teachings are what I practice and what I live. So when the opportunity came to practice here in Kemet and continue that lifestyle, it was only natural to flow with that energy.
Okay, excellent. And you've been to Kemet before. So how was this experience different from your previous? How would you rate them?
I liked the last experience, but I preferred this experience. And I preferred this experience because I had an opportunity to slow down and really, really focus on a particular part of the philosophy. It's so vast, it's so huge, you know, and Sabai always said that once you understand one, you can understand the next. So if the goal is enlightenment, I don't think I have enough time to go everywhere, and it's not for looking at things, it's basically for understanding the philosophy and putting it into practice. So being somewhere still where I could go every day, it's I can't even explain the experience. It's been very fulfilling. My school has been the temple for the last 5 to 6 days.
Okay. So, you know, a couple of the participants have said that this journey was like 2 initiations for them. Like the initiation, of course, of being here and the process, but also getting here for them. Where they was met with like obstacles, challenges, that kind of thing. Did you find that was the experience for you, or was it just more like smooth sailing?
It was very smooth. It was smooth not once the decision, but once I got the opportunity to come, it was smooth. Everything just was smooth.
Excellent. So you got here, and of course we embarked on this special program that Sabai had prepared for us. It's very unique. Probably no other group of human beings on the planet, and there's 7 billion on the planet, have really gone through a process like that. Maybe some, you know, scholars somewhere have tried to do something like this, but this really hasn't been done for regular people in that regard. Tell us about how you felt about the program, the flow, the process, you know, taking it one day at a time, going into one part, not really being able to go to the next part, following the protocol that would have been the protocol for enlightenment itself in ancient times.
I think it was superb. It was perfect. I was here before, and the Temple of Asar was one of my favorite temples. Last year, when I was here, was trying to map the temple out myself. I got my pen and paper, was trying to remember where the rooms were. And it's funny, I went back, and when I went back, I dreamt about the temples a lot, but I still wasn't able to navigate. And this opportunity with the way Sabai did it, it cut out a lot of, you know, confusion because the temple is so big. So the aspect of the temple he took and the time he took to even find out what the you know, the Hall of Heru, and it was perfect because he actually, like he said, it was the divine computer, and he downloaded the program and made it simpler for us. And I do a Sibaman Sibaja, obviously both of them. So yeah, I appreciate the way he did it, definitely.
So over the course of the last you know, few days, 5 or 6 days, whatever it was, we've had probably a mountain of moments that were, you know, I like to call them aha moments in honor of Aha, or Menes the king. But if you had to narrow those moments down to maybe 1 or 2 moments, which one would you say was the most transformative for you personally?
That one is hard. There was a few experiences. I want to start somewhere that doesn't take me to the room, the projection room. So I want to start. Let's see. I really can't answer a specific moment because the whole journey has been fulfilling. I will tell you, when I first got an inclination of feeling, so maybe that's a place to start, was when we went to the Hyperstall Hall. I think it was the second one, or no, the first one, the North Wall, where the goddesses were there to support us. And that was profound to me. That was profound to me, very profound to me. And of course, in the resurrection room, actually the birth of her room, that was profound for me too, because it nailed in, or it sealed for me, my actual real personality. But it also like let me know that there's work to be done. So it was a bittersweet moment, because there I am facing the true me, but then I still have a journey. So it kind of, those moments were a reality check, as well as, you know, a goal to attain. So definitely I would say those, you know, moments in between that I can't think of right now, but I remember when I first had that feeling. And also next to that was, I really, really had a feeling in the set room, because none of this would be possible without her. So I had a deep feeling and deep admiration for her support throughout the temple. Not just that particular room, but, you know, the other gods and goddesses that was used to set up, they occur. I don't remember them, never showed up again. You know, which she's in different form, but Aset was all the way throughout the entire journey. So definitely I have deep appreciation and adorations for all the gods and goddesses, but that room, Aset, did something special.
So what would you say, or what do you feel now, from, it might still be early in the process of figuring this out, but what do you think the impact of this particular experience will be on your life moving forward?
I think I have a lot, maybe a lifetime worth of information to process, because at the end of the day for me, and I'm sure, I don't know if you remember, but when I came into Tefnetaru, I wasn't comfortable in doing something that I didn't understand. So Ujara, who is Ra, and, you know, I wanted to find out who these, you know, the gods and goddesses were from the jump. So I think I got enough information to continue on the journey. It impacts me a lot, because I would like to continue with my practice, but more to intensify it. And I feel that it gave me the breathing room to do so.
Okay.
So it will definitely help in intensifying my current practice.
Beautiful. So, if you could speak to somebody perhaps who's looked into this Kemetic stuff, or maybe picked up a Dr. Ashby book or two, or maybe comes across an opportunity like this to take this type of trip, what would you say to them about this type of trip?
This type of trip, actually, for people that are interested in Africa or interested in Kemet, to find out the truth in which they believe in. I think finding out the basis or the foundation on which our culture is built is very important. And in essence, to find out about the African mind, you have to definitely revert or go back to the African religion in its original state. So this trip afforded us that. I appreciated the proof, basically. It wasn't opinions, it was there on the walls, and it was deciphered from the glyphs. So I would say to anyone that is currently seeking spirituality, especially a Kemetic or from an African perspective, this would be a great trip because it comes with authenticity, it comes with proof, it comes with evidence. And yeah, that's what we really need, to stop speculate and start to decipher things for what they are and what they were left for us to mean or to live. And not a lot of trips offer that. So it's not a vacation, it is an actual pilgrimage. It's coming back to the source of the source of the source. So, I would definitely recommend this to anyone that would like this type of experience. Because once you experience it once, you'll definitely understand the depth to be gained from such an experience.
All right, this has been a wonderful interview for me. Your wisdom is shining through, and I'm very grateful for that to her. If you'd like to leave any parting words as we conclude, that just want to speak from the heart or just say something, you can do so.
I'm a little shy. I'm a shy person.
Right. Miss Jump in the Blue Lagoon with no...
The Blue Lagoon is different. It doesn't talk
definitely
back.
It's different. Oh, it does talk back if you don't know what you're doing. In a language only a few can understand, trust me.
The only thing from my heart is I'm extremely, extremely grateful. I can't, there's nothing else. It's the temple, the life that our ancestors lived was a life of devotion. It was devoted to God, and God is essentially us. So, it's just, and that I'm grateful for those reminders or those teachings. And for now, that's where I'm just extremely grateful, appreciative of that. And another thing I wanted to say was the experience. Through this experience, I've been able to kind of tune into the gods and goddesses too. And I am extremely grateful for that, to be able to have the philosophy living within me as well. What's that?
Dua. And this interview is... Uja again. This is Asar Happy Aku, and I'm here with Shams Harit, and we are live in Kemet at the end of the Kemetic Mythic Tour that was hosted by Seba Ma and Dja, Muata and Dja Ashby. And we wanted to take some time to get some reflections from some of the participants, and Shams Harit has offered to do so. So we want to start with asking you, Shams Harit, what inspired you to come on this particular trip?
Well, I had been on the previous trip to Kemet last year, 2015, and that was the beginning of what I thought was just a wonderful way to disseminate the teachings. You have the access to Seba Ma and Seba Dja in person. I had been to Kemet many times before, and I've certainly heard my share of, representations of what the temples are by various different Egyptian guides. But the thing that's important to realize is just because they come from Egypt and they say they studied Egyptology here, doesn't mean you're going to be getting the same presentation that you get from someone like Sebai Ma, for example, who is a disseminator of the teachings of Shetaut Neter, who is learned, studied, and accomplished in the mysteries. And that's what it's always been about for me, is the mysteries, Sure, history is important, and that's okay, and it's fine to know those things, which dynasty follows which dynasty, and so forth and so on. But no one ever was able to address or decipher what these messages on the walls were saying. What were they really saying? So it was not a question for me when they said they were coming last year to Kemet to...
What do you think about the program itself? How did that impact you?
Well, I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think it was unprecedented. I certainly have never been exposed to the teachings in the way that they were exposed during this program. I am still processing what it is that we went through in these 5 days. It's really hard to put into words what must be experienced. And it is an experience. I just feel that it was the right thing, the right time for where I am right now in my life. And so I think it's just what I needed to partake in. And so I was really grateful to be able to participate in this program.
So over the course of this journey now that you're talking about, this initiation we've had, of course, at least I have, I'm sure you have as well, just a number of moments, transformational moments even. If you could pick out one or two truly transformational moments for you, what would you say? Something that clicked, or something that just brought things together, just opened up the door?
Aside from stepping on African soil, I would say the proficiency of the methodology of teaching that Sabai Ma and Sabai Dja shared, but it was primarily Sabai Ma who was doing most of the teaching. Because he had to have channeled this information. So his ability to receive the transmission, translate it, give it back, do the research to verify it, and then his ability to disseminate it to us in a way that was so tangible. I will never look at hieroglyphics the same way ever again. To know that I can look at these pictographs, these hieroglyphs, and glean meaning from it. It's no longer a mystery. All I have to do is apply myself to our history. Yeah, that is transformational. That was a veil of Aset that was raised, upon the revelation that as I looked and gazed, I knew. Knowing is supersedes belief.
That it does.
Yeah, you know, and the fact that Sabai Ma is so fastidious about being accurate.
Shisheta.
Yeah, Shishetik. So yes, he would be my Jegna. He would be my teacher in that way, as an example. He does the research. And so there is a confidence in knowing. There's a confidence in being able to read and see. I just, you know, it's verification of so many things that I'd studied, that I'd believed, that I had a sense of. But to see it, and then to know that we are our ancestors, ourselves returned, and that we loved ourselves so much that we left these glyphs here for us to activate our ancestral memory and reclaim our divinity. I can't say that I've ever been this close to this level of empowerment for myself and for our people. Because what I have, I give to the people.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So, moving forward now, what do you think, and you might still be processing, what do you think the impact of this experience will have on your life?
Leadership. I'm learning what it is to be a leader, to be a queen, to be a priestess, to be a goddess. Yes, to be one in the fullness of my divinity, and my living example will speak for itself.
So what advice would you, maybe people, let's say, come across this video somewhere, maybe we put it out on YouTube or something, and if they probably, may have picked up a couple of books on Africa, Kemet, maybe they picked up a Dja Ashby book even, maybe they have the opportunity to, consider a trip like this, what would you say to them?
What would I say to them?
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. Prepare yourself to come, to go, to be. You could see a picture of food and you could watch somebody eat, but you will never know what it tastes like unless you eat it yourself. So I use that analogy to say the same thing. You can read books, you can watch the internet, you can watch television, movies, all of that. You can hear other people's accounts. There is nothing that replaces the experience. Nothing that supersedes it. Nothing that, in my opinion, that could validate life on this level, in terms of our connection to our roots. And at least for me, my sense of purpose, and expanding on that. Because being a leader was not something I sought to be.
Right.
It's something I've been chosen by the people to be, and obviously by my higher self and the ancestors and the Most High to be. So it's all the oneness and being able to receive it, accept it, and now be in it.
Indeed. All right, so we want to let's wrap it up a little bit, but do you have any closing thoughts, anything you want to share that you haven't already done so, about the experience, or anything at all?
Just love. I have just an overflowing of love and gratitude. Gratitude for Sabama, Sabaja, for you, Basu Netarang, for all the people that came here, for my Raw Reality family in Atlanta that is supporting me now and being here. my biological family for having me, loving me, raising me. Just being born in this time, I have such an immense gratitude. Yeah, just gratitude.
All right. Thank you for giving us your thoughts and feelings about this experience. And we look forward to what the future unfolds.
Oh, let me not forget gratitude for the people here at the hotel.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have to mention
they have been
them
phenomenal.
at Palanque House of Life.
They have been that.
Absolutely, they've been that.
They've been House of
And
Life.
yeah, I mean, everything has just been perfect.
Indeed. All right. Dua Shisheta Sem
Wow.
Seti
Happy
Tasili Maharbata
Mata Atma.
Mata Atma Ma'at. Yes. That.
Hotel.
This trip was equally as special. I don't know if anyone can imagine, or imagine if you will, being able to come to one site, visit one temple, and each day go in and learn things. There's so much in the temples themselves. There's so much information for us. You can go there all week and still not have gotten it all, you know, and receiving lessons upon lessons every single day. It was so in depth, and it was so much information, and I believe that it was a very special experience for all of us. It certainly was for me.
All right, excellent. So, like you said, this particular program was different, was unique, and I think somebody here mentioned almost unprecedented in many ways because of the specific attention to protocol in terms of this is the way that it would have happened, and we're going to give you the experience in that way. So we're going to package this as you're going to move through in the way that the ancients would have moved through into the temple. You're going to learn about it in the way that they would have learned about it. They would learn about step 1, and then step 2, and then step 3, and so on and so forth. Tell me about the significance of that type of experience to you, particularly spiritually.
Yeah, it was like, and I don't know what this correlation will be like for folks, but it was like, learning a Bible. I mean, many of us have come up through the traditional church, and being able to understand it in depth. It's there on the walls, the metaphysical, the spirituality, how we are to be, how we will be, how we, what we will do when we begin to ascend, and how we will ascend, and then our higher selves will be able to assist our lower selves in climbing or ascending. It was just, there were so many moments of just special revelations, just information, insights, and being able to see things in a way that many of us haven't viewed them or thought about viewing them. It's real special.
The most amazing thing is, it's a difference between knowing, reading about the greatness of our ancestors and seeing it. Being able to walk through the temple and see everything everywhere. You know, every single wall is covered. Everything is detailed. You know, to fathom how it was even created, you know, will leave you in a state of meditation for months, you know, years. You know, and to be able to see it transforms you. You know, it definitely opens your perception to the greatness that you are. You know, that you just have to tap into by realizing yourself. So, you know, that for me, that's the takeaway. You know, the temple of Asar is the temple, essentially, I feel like it's designed in our bodies, really, and we're going through different stages. You're going from the lower to the higher to the divine. And to be able to walk through that with someone telling you exactly what the walls are saying, you know, that's an experience that you can't get anywhere
That
else.
was the most amazing part, to just even observe. Like, you could just get a glimpse of what other people were experiencing as far as they're having their tour guides walking them through and saying, oh, this is this and this is this. But to have Sibama and Dja breaking down the metanetter, breaking down the symbolism, you know, of what our ancestors laid for us, it's powerful and very transformative, you know. It's life-changing, you know, and it changes your whole perception of yourself, your whole perception of where you come from. Because, I mean, like he was saying, yeah, it's one thing to see the pictures, you know, and to read a little bit of history or, you know, study from a book, but to actually be there, to walk the path that your ancestors have walked in the temples, it's amazing.
I'll say this, that the best thing I ever did was traded my militant tendencies for a yoga mat.
Powerful. So then it wouldn't be guns or bombs.
But it's all about weapons of choice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And sometimes it's, you know, we talk about genius, right? Uncommon connection.
Yes.
And so in this art of war, you have to know what is the greatest weapon you can use. And in many ways, right now, I would say the yoga mat.
Yes.
Fundamentally is the greatest weapon you can use.
Yes.
Because what happens, something magical happens when you recognize that the war is within. That everything you're seeing outside of yourself is all because of the discordance that's happening within in the Battle of Heru, say.
Yes.
And so, to answer your question about what do I need to become or what do I become, it's Heru is the answer, right? It is the fulfillment of what Simatawi, what the Shatat Netter, what the teachings of all of this is about, is becoming Heru.
And Heru is?
So Heru is the vindicator of the soul, right? He is the one that reestablishes our Father, the soul, on the throne once again, right? So he represents, to me, when I look at the reason why I think it's Heru, it's all, right? Because at the end we saw Asar, we saw Set, and Heru, all
the divine family,
you know, around the divine king.
Yes.
He had in fact become all of them.
Yes.
But yet he's given the name of Heru in specific. And what I think, my interpretation of what Heru means, Asar is the lord of the netherworld, right? I think Heru is the lord of this world. In other words, the enlightened person in flesh. If he chooses to operate within the materialist dimension, in the 3D type of equation, 4D really, that we exist in and that we operate from, and to master that is to be Heru.
Yes.
Right? But to be Heru, you have to be Asar, resurrected,
yes.
right?
Yes.
You can't really have one without
because
the other.
The two
but Heru is
one.
informed by his father. That's
yes.
the point. And he's protected by his mother.
Yes.
So for us, it's to be Heru. It's to be a master of the material plane, which is really to be a master of the self. Tell us about that experience. How was it similar to or different from any of the other experiences you've had previously?
It's very different to actually see, you know, the term, seeing the writing on the wall as a whole new, I have a whole new view of that now. I've experienced that in person, going to the temples, especially for me, the Het Heru temple, because I studied the goddess, and it was just pretty overwhelming emotionally for me. I felt really full. But it was nice to have the preceptor there to actually read the writing on the wall, show the relevance a lot of the things that I've studied. It just felt like a circle being completed, and then to come in the evening and have him reiterate and kind of go through what we saw during the day and also answer questions, it just really made the circle more complete. I feel more established in the teachings, and things that I've read, I feel like I've experienced them in person now.
Okay, we're back with this is Asar Al-Kaku, or as a matter of fact, Asar Happy Aku, and today we're here with a very special member of the Kemetic Myth Tour 2016. We're live in Kemet, and we're with the world's only Kemetic wellness consultant, trained in 3 different systems of Kemetic practice and thought, as well as being an aspirant and other things as well. This is Rhonda,
Yes.
Basu Rhonda, and all the other Reiki and all the other things that you do. Yes. So so we wanted to sit and just kind of, you know, talk a little bit about this particular experience you have here. And this is your first time in Kemet?
This is my first time in Akibulan.
Powerful.
And it's even more powerful that it's exactly here in Kemet.
Excellent. So would you say that, of course, as you came on the trip, you probably had some expectations and, you know, things that you thought, and would you say this trip, you know, met your expectations? It exceeded your expectations?
It exceeded my expectation because I really didn't realize how close I was with the energy of the ancient Kemetic, you know, people. Just being a walk away from the very temple that they have left all the knowledge, all the teaching, the recipe for a joyful life.
And now that you've had this transformational experience and initiation, you know, you obviously at a deeper level than you've ever gone before, and you've gone through several now Kemetic initiations. Put this one into perspective for me, you know, compared to all the others that you have, if that's a fair thing to do.
What resonates with me is the word remember. I feel as though I've been remembered again. I've been remembered.
Wow. Wow.